Hello and welcome back to another episode of Word Wednesday. I'm your host, Paige Goodger, and as always, we have Bix Weir from roadtoruta.com and Road to Ruta YouTube. And how you doing,
I'm
Bix?
good. You forgot Instagram page. How can you forget
And
Instagram?
I'm from Instagram.
Oh, okay. That's true. I'm good. I'm excited to learn about this topic today. We never planned beforehand she does, but she doesn't tell me till pretty much the day before. So I'm excited about this one because it's a good topic.
Yeah, me too. Bix and I were in the Grand Canyon last week, which is why we didn't have our Word Wednesday episode, but we were searching for all the gold and we found all of it. Just kidding.
Don't tell it. Never tell people when you find gold.
Here on the Road to Ruta, we like to expose corruption so that we can find new and better ways of doing things that in the end brings more freedom to the people. One of the ways of doing that is decentralization. We know that blockchain technology is all about decentralization. So let's think about what is centralized so that we can find out what we can decentralize to give that power back to the people. We have our monetary system, banks, how we vote, real estate transfer records, renting a house, social media, and the internet. And then the list goes on and on and on and on. But what if we could decentralize all of that? Today, we will be talking about smart contracts and how these tools may help with decentralization. We will cover why they are important, what their use cases are, and just so there isn't any bias, I will also be discussing some downsides of smart contracts and what we can do to improve those issues. The definition that we will be using for smart contracts is any self-executing, legally binding contract that is on a blockchain, which tends to remove third parties from the agreement. They simply represent an agreement between parties that is stored on and executed by a blockchain without the need of a third party. Smart contracts may also be referred to as an IFTT model, meaning if this, then that. Perhaps the best metaphor for a smart contract is a vending machine, as described by Nick Szabo. If you put $1 in and enter a number, then you get a snack of choice. Smart contracts are the exact same way. There is a pre-written code on the blockchain that executes specific actions without having to have a middleman. Smart contracts codify business logic and have four main purposes: store rules, verify rules, self-execute rules, and remove a third party or centralized authority. So it's like the judge, the police officer, and the rules all combined in one that is written in a code, and this is all done on a very secure platform, blockchain. If you'd like to learn more about blockchain, make sure to check out our Word Wednesday on blockchain. So the key distinction between a smart contract and any other kind of agreement is the self-executing part. A smart contract doesn't just record the terms of a deal, it also makes sure that the deal is carried out. In a typical contract, a seller's assets are held by an agent, the lawyer, the broker, the escrow agent, etc., until the seller is paid by the buyer and the agent can verify the transaction. Only then is the asset released. In certain scenarios, this verification process can take months, like buying a house. With smart contracts, verification happens in real time. As the terms of the contract are met, the contract automatically transfers assets between parties, whether that be money, stocks, or anything else of value. A better way to think of smart contracts might be as kind of a digital broker, since it does much more than simply record the terms of an agreement. So Bix, what do you see being the biggest use case for smart contracts in the future?
I think we're hitting that point where trust is completely gone. Trust in your government, trust in your health system, trust in the monetary system, trust in everything is going away. And as it falls away, it's kind of like a snowball. It builds and builds. Why do you trust anybody anymore? Our government clearly is not trustworthy. Our financial system's clearly not trustworthy. The exchangers are not trustworthy. The idea of smart contracts is a brilliant way. I'm a big decentralized guy because it doesn't necessarily involve people. I can't trust people anymore. It's hard to trust friends and family. It's hard to trust friends and family even these days. Half my family is completely lefty and lost their minds, and the other half is way too cool to hang out with the lefties. So I have no idea where this is all going, but I do know one thing. Trust is leaving the system, and is being replaced by something like smart contracts in the blockchain.
So, isn't the smart contract itself, one could say, acting as a third party? Or the person writing the code for that smart contract, they would kind of be like the broker escrow agent in a different, writing of a contract. So, how is um, how is a smart contract different and like fully eliminating that third party?
Well, it depends what it's being used for. For example, some smart contracts are involved with gold and silver, um, in the transfer of funds and then the release of the asset. Certain things are completely decentralized. You can write it into the code, but certain things aren't. For example, the storage of the physical metal, that is not decentralized. It will have to be stored somewhere. So there's nuances there, but the key is that as much as possible to remove humans from the transaction. And once you do that, if the smart contract is written well enough, and it could
Mhm.
be just one person writing a smart contract that can be used by tens of thousands, millions of people using the same smart contract, which is really cool. But once you get a properly executed contract, there's no argument. There's no
Mhm.
argument. What's done is done. It was written in the code. The code was executed. The game is over, and you move on. It's kind of like a Bitcoin transaction. There's no way to go back in a Bitcoin transaction and change what happened.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're just removing humans from the equation, like the vending machine example. It used to be a man behind the counter, you would pay him, he would give you your Coke or whatever. And now it's you put your dollar in and it does that automatically. So, do you think deploying this type of technology could be harmful in some areas?
In some areas, it can be. It's much harder to reverse mistakes. So if you make a mistake, for example, with a bank, if someone steals your account and gets into your knows your password and transfers money to himself, the banks have insurance against that, and they'll refund you your money. With smart contracts, for the most part, they are on the blockchain. It's irreversible for the most part, and it should be. You can build in the smart contracts various ways to claw back stuff. You can do that on a smart contract because it doesn't change the blockchain.
Mhm.
But for the most part, hey, if you make an agreement, or if you're careless with your keys, hint, 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 um, you should lose them. And there should be no. We're moving into a world where the nanny state is gone. There's no more babysitter. We have to pick up our shorts and say, okay, it's me against the world. That's the mindset we're going to need. And what are the best things to kind of equip yourself for this new world? You need to be savvy in this stuff. You need to come up to speed, and you can't be laissez-faire. Oh, if make a mistake, I can always, you know, complain to my credit card company. Those days are leaving. So just make sure you're doing things correctly.
Yeah. I think my only concern with this is the whole AI agenda and really that agenda is to completely delete humans and the need for humans in general. So I have some concerns with the deletion of humans. I get that there's human error, there's all of these things that we can do wrong and that I guess you can simplify in a coding world. But whoever's writing that code can mess up. And there's still a little bit of human error that can be sprinkled in to
Well,
these
I would
these
say
areas.
I would say the deletion of human beings due to AI is a fear tactic created by the bad guys to keep us in fear. We have
Okay.
AI all around us right now. Stoplights. When you go to a stoplight, it senses your car.
Mhm.
AI can be used to save your life, or AI can be used in bad ways too.
Yeah.
The idea that AI is going to take over, like in Terminator, and rule the world is complete fantasy.
Not
And,
exactly,
and
my
I know,
opinions on AI aren't that extreme, but
but you're not alone. You're
I
not
definitely
alone.
question where we're going.
There's so many people who fear AI because AI is going to take over. AI is in the machines. AI is taking over everything. And they can't even explain what AI is. Artificial intelligence, like I said, it could be a stoplight. It could be your coffee maker. It could be, it doesn't have to be a cyborg from the future coming to destroy humanity. And in reality, I have experienced that good AI takes precedent over bad AI in all situations. Otherwise, why would we be here? We shouldn't be afraid of AI. AI is coming. AI is here. It's just going to be more and more prevalent, which gives us the ability to do things that our soul feels great about doing instead of going to a job 9 to 5 to be an accountant. We don't
Mhm.
need accountants. I'm sorry, all you accountants. If you want to keep doing it, go for it because the AI can help you out. But in reality, we have been trapped by a non-AI world. And as AI comes in and does the mundane tasks that we have been, the slave labor to do, it's a beautiful thing. It frees humanity to do whatever they want. And I love it.
Yeah, so you see it as a helpful tool, as a way to take humans kind of out of that workforce and focus on the real aspects of, growing consciousness and growing yourself as a person in society, not having to be a slave to the system that we already have, which is funny because the AI argument is that you're going to be a slave to AI. And so yours is kind of the opposite and pulling away from that. So let's look at some applications for smart contracts. Some of you might have gone through some of these processes or gone through these things, but let's say buying a car, you have to get a loan out or you have to pay in cash or haggle with this guy for this deal, right? So buying a house, how many steps are there when you have to buy a house? This broker, this guy, this, like, there's so many different steps, right? Renting an apartment or a house, paying employees, paying rent or a house payment, collecting a national consensus, receiving an organ in order to save your life, urban farming to make to ensure that people in cities have fresh food. These are all applications for smart contracts and where these can be implemented in everyday life. Um, like, let's say buying a house. So you find a house that you really like, and instead of having to call your broker and then call your bank and then go through all of these different steps in order to buy a house, you can take your phone, scan a QR code, and it's done. That house is now yours. That smart contract that was already written into that QR code, it's been filled on your end, it's been filled on the other end. Boom, that house is yours. You've completely deleted the middleman, the hassle, everything of now buying a house. And then let's just apply that to all the other examples that I gave you with receiving an organ. There are two women in Europe right now who are developing a blockchain smart contract based organ donation so that someone in Germany, which if you're getting an organ donation, it's pretty time sensitive, right? Like you need to know in real time what is happening in all of these different countries. So they have now found a way for someone in Germany to be a donor for someone in a very far distance from them and help save lives using a blockchain and smart contract technology. So these are things that have never been done before, and I'm really excited to see where they go with developing these smart contracts off of the blockchain technology. So some of the benefits of smart contracts, efficiency, right? Transactions take place as soon as the terms of the contract are fulfilled. Currently, it can take months for assets to be moved after a contract is signed. There is no lengthy verification process with smart contracts. At a minimum, this means larger and more complex agreements will take less time to execute, allowing companies to move more quickly. Second is trustworthiness. Smart contracts are encrypted and stored on a shared blockchain that is controlled by the parties themselves. There is no need to trust a third party to hold assets or ensure the terms of the agreement are executed. Furthermore, it's practically impossible for information to be lost since the ledger is replicated in full across many different machines. Third, transparency. When the terms of a contract are expressed in computer code rather than natural language, there's no room for ambiguity. It's even possible to test an agreement with any number of variables so that all parties involved can know exactly what will happen under any given circumstances. This should help reduce or eliminate disputes that arise under unusual circumstances. And the fourth is privacy. Smart contracts do not violate the privacy of individuals, which we tend to value on the road to Ruta. So, Vix, can anyone write a smart contract and deploy it to a network?
Absolutely. Well, you got to know how to write some code, but it's not, for code writers, it's not really that hard. The problem lies, one of the problems with smart contracts, it's like anything on the blockchain, it's only as good as the code. So you
Mhm.
can have faults in your code and you're running your business on smart contracts using Ethereum, and someone screwed up the code on how, your contracts interrelate with each other or interrelate with the Ethereum blockchain. You won't hurt the Ethereum blockchain, but your customers could lose all their tokens if your code is not written well. So you have different levels of programmers who are going to be adding smart contracts to blockchains like Ethereum, like Theta, like any platform type chain, and not all of them have the similar skills. And we're going to see a lot of companies that try to do smart contracts with flaws in them, and they'll be exploited very fast given the nature of AI or just little computer programmer hackers who see all this value out there. The hackers are going crazy with cryptocurrencies. And I mean, we see it all the time on Road to Ruta. There's fake accounts jumping up everywhere, people
Oh, yeah.
getting their stuff stolen all the time. Um, it's going to be hectic and dangerous, but ultimately it's a good thing. We need to move forward into a high-tech future to free up our souls to do what they came down here to do, which is to learn, to grow, to embrace life, and move forward, always forward.
Yeah. Are smart contracts only part of specific cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Theta? And do you need these specific cryptocurrencies and the fuel needed to run these transactions in order to use smart contracts?
No, you can run a smart contract off almost any blockchain. You can
Okay.
run smart contracts on Bitcoin. There are problems with that. The Bitcoin people don't want that. Every time you add a smart contract, you're adding another potential layer of attack to the main blockchain. So that you got to keep that in mind. The more open your blockchain is to do other things, the more open it is for attackers to mess with the underlying blockchain. That's why Bitcoin core developers are really reticent to change anything at all. They just want to lock Bitcoin up and say nobody can change anything about Bitcoin. That's why Litecoin's so great. So you can run smart contracts on Litecoin, on any blockchain really, and it's a good thing. But some are built for that. The fast blockchains and cheap blockchains, especially for transactions, are going to be the ones that win. And that's why Ethereum's been trying to get faster and trying to get cheaper for 3 or 4 years, and it's got at least 2 more years left. That's why I'm screaming at everybody, hey, everybody who's running their business on Ethereum should look at Theta. The Theta blockchain uses the same code, is 15 times faster, and is practically free for every transaction. And that's just a huge feather in the hat of Theta. Although Theta says they're not going after Ethereum, they don't want to steal that market. Any smart business would look at both and say, which is better for my business?
Yeah. So right now, Ethereum is ranked as second on market cap and Theta is ranked 25. Do you think Theta will be more useful for smart contracts than Ethereum?
I don't know. It is today. It is definitely today. I mean, I spent $30 doing an Ethereum transaction the other day. I couldn't believe it. But Ethereum is working on it. Will they finish it in time? I don't know. And but Data's there. It's sitting there 15 times faster and practically free. So I like it better when the market decides which is best to use. I think it's a decentralized way to do things. And Theta doesn't need to be a smart contract, the leader in smart contracts. It's already the leader in broadband expansion, in gaming, in live streaming. Um, it will soon be a leader in non-fungible tokens, decentralized. There's so many things that Theta can be leading at right now. And it's a very extremely secure blockchain, a novel blockchain. They invented their own way to do it, and it's faster and cheaper. And I can't even say enough about Theta. And I know people are getting tired of it, but hey, they weren't getting tired of it when it was 5 cents and I was screaming. and now it's $350, and they won't be tired of it when it's $350 or $3,500. This is the way we're going to move forward with expanding the broadband, which is such a gigantic problem on the internet right now, with the expansion of AI, of streaming, of high quality video. It's an amazing invention, and I think everybody needs to spend a little time to say, hey, how will this affect my life?
Absolutely. So, a few words of caution. As I promised earlier, blockchain is still in its early days, and there are some good reasons to be cautious of it right now. For starters, blockchain and smart contracts are still in their infancy, technologically speaking. Many of the applications we've looked at are hypothetical or still in the proof of concept stage. There are plenty of scenarios where you can't or wouldn't want to automate the process. For example, a smart contract can't gauge whether a job was done to the buyer's satisfaction unless the buyer explicitly tells it so, in which case the smart contract hasn't really simplified anything. Furthermore, a smart contract is only as good as the code it's written in. Poorly written contracts can lead to all kinds of unexpected and undesirable consequences. And the same properties that make it difficult to tamper with or alter a blockchain can also make it very difficult to stop or rewrite a faulty contract. In this scenario, developers play a role that isn't so different from the one lawyers play when drawing up physical contracts. While there is still some kinks to work out, there are also some huge benefits to having smart contracts and using them in our everyday lives. So, Bix, do you have any final words about smart contracts?
I love them. Anything that makes us more decentralized makes us freer, and I'm a big advocate of being free.
Yes, so am I. So, I just want to say a huge congratulations to the One Like Neo 79 who won our Valentine's Day Theta giveaway. We gave away 50 Theta, which from the time we started the giveaway on February 3rd, made a 52.9% increase by the time we ended the giveaway. So just by joining the giveaway and winning, the One Like Neo 79 made an extra $56.80. So, moral of the story, join the Road to Ruta Instagram so you can have a chance at winning our next giveaway. And go get your Theta so your money can make money and you can be financially independent and you don't have to rely on a centralized authority.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. So I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode, and we will see you next week with another interesting word. Take care until then.